listening to
A to the K.
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 A to the K Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.
Well, holy shit. What a night we have in store. We are taking a look at women's wrestling. That's right. Two middle-aged white men are going to talk about women's wrestling. That's going to go well. But joking aside, I mean, obviously, you know, wrestling has a huge fan base and it is a predominantly male fan base. So I think it's only right that we do discuss women's wrestling, what it was to us as teenagers or even younger, Carl, in your case, because you've been watching it since you were like 3 or whatever. But on top of that, obviously, what it is slowly turning into and what it has become. But as well as talking about that this week, Carl, and yes, that will be our Seg 3, but as well as talking about that, we have an exclusive interview with genuinely one of the best women's wrestlers today. It is.
Absolutely.
And I'm just going to try and say it right again. La Mera Mera, Thunder Rosa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, we haven't done the introductions properly. I am the Glamazon, Anthony. And with me is 5 Feet of Fury. It's Carl.
Oh, no. You did me dirty.
I know. I'd say when in the document he didn't know I was going to do that.
That's it. It was surprise. But no, holy shit indeed, Anthony. We are thrilled to have Thunder Rosa as a friend of the show, and what a perfect timing for tonight's episode on the women's evolution. All the amazing work she's doing at the minute for women's wrestling, makes perfect sense, and we're so honoured to have her as a guest. But for the episode and the show today, sit back, feel the glow. 100% stratisfaction is guaranteed.
Hey.
We are the ninth wonders of the world. And to all the men that want to be us and all the women that came to hear us, not see us, let's light it up, as they say. So,
love it.
They were my women's catchphrases.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's an homage to women's wrestling, so it's perfect. It works brilliantly. So, obviously, I know everyone, you're all on the edge of your seats. You're excited for Seg 3 and you're excited for the Thunder Rosa interview. And in reality, you can click on them and ignore everything else. But what we're going to do first, we're going to talk about the Ringside Report. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the podcast, you will know the Ringside Report is essentially the news. So we're going to tell you all the latest news and rumours that have been going on in the world of wrestling. And Carl, shall I read off the headlines this week?
Go on.
Okay. So, coming up in the Ringside Report, is there heat building between Riddle and Rollins? Apparently, we have news of a new sexual assault lawsuit against Matt Riddle. Mercedes Martinez is potentially no longer a member of Retribution. Samoa Joe is potentially done with in-ring competition. We have Aaron Stevens is unlikely to be contacted by AEW. Alberto Del Rio has been indicted in a kidnapping and assault case. James Storm talks on WWE retracting their offer during the COVID outbreak. We have news potentially on Tessa Blanchard signing with WWE. We have the speculation on is WWE punishing Lana. We have Jericho and Jim Cornette having a social media spat, let's call it. We have Triple H accidentally liking a tweet remarking on Lars Sullivan's past in adult films. And we have Lars Sullivan in more trouble for more inappropriate conduct. All that coming up right now. So, Carl, am I the one kicking it off?
I believe you are, Anthony.
Brilliant. So this one is a purely speculative piece. And the headline obviously was, is there heat or building heat between Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle? Now, this has come from the fact that Rollins has made some comment. Rollins has now been moved, for those of you who want spoilers for the draft, which we will be talking about on This Week in Wrestling, he has been moved to SmackDown on the draft, which, again, if it's still up in the air, he could get drafted back. I don't know how the fucking rules work. I don't even think WWE know how the rules work anymore. But right now, he is a SmackDown superstar. He is going to be known as the savior of SmackDown. And obviously, this has led to some discussion and people talking about potential future opponents for Seth Rollins on the blue brand. One of the names that was thrown into the hat was one Matt Riddle. And Rollins very quickly shot that down. And he is quoted as saying that he has got no interest in facing Matt Riddle at any point in his career. So he can go to Raw as far as he's concerned. So this now lets people go, okay, what's going on there? And the belief is that, and I'm not sure, Carl, whether you know much about this, but apparently there is a little bit of a past there in terms of comments that Matt Riddle's wife had made towards Becky Lynch, who obviously is Seth Rollins' fiance. I don't know if they've been married yet. Apologies, fiance. So there could be some heat there, or genuinely it could just be due to the fact that Matt Riddle is another one of these people who's been involved in the speaking out movement, and maybe Seth has his own beliefs on that, despite Matt denying the allegations made. So we don't actually know what it is, but there seems very clear that there isn't a very good relationship between the two, let's say.
Yeah, I think, Riddle's wife in the past has definitely come out and said some pretty nasty things about the WWE Divas today, or the women, if you will. And so that could definitely be a contributing factor to why he feels that way. But yeah, it seems it's a very interesting one, really. So, I mean, it very is like potential that is the case. But yeah, I don't know, for him to kind of come out and vehemently say, well, I'm never going to wrestle him, basically. So, it's like,
especially when, let's face it, Seth is a company man. And WWE are obviously big on Riddle. He's had this push to not just the main roster, but SmackDown is a hot commodity at the minute with them securing a deal with Fox. So they obviously have a lot of faith in the man. So for Seth to be so against it is it just shows you how much he must have issue. I'm trying not to be clickbaity or speculative, but there must be something there for him to be so open about that displeasure with the thought of working with the man. Well, sadly, it is all speculative at this point, so we don't know. It could be anything. Could be anything at all. He could have stole Rollins' lunch for all we know.
I mean, it's possible. It's probably going to be a storyline at some point. Everyone loves lunch storylines. If it's in a Money in the Bank briefcase, even better.
Oh yeah, of course.
But sticking with Mr. Matt Riddle, so a while ago we heard part of the speaking out movement, that Matt Riddle's name was mentioned as potentially being kind of part of that and having done some things. There's now been a new sexual assault lawsuit raised against Matt Riddle from Candy Cartwright, who was the one who originally kind of made those allegations. So she's now, proceeded to try and get a suit filed kind of against him about this. So it allegedly stems back to a night back on the independent circuit from 2018, in which they were kind of dating at the time. Obviously, Matt Riddle was married. He's already come out and confessed that, them kind of dating was him having an affair, and he's not exactly proud of that, etc., etc. But by all accounts, those two were kind of dating at the time. And after a show in 2018, Matt Riddle basically kind of forced Candy Cartwright to perform an oral act on him in the bus after the show, which she kind of felt very, she wasn't really, happy about that. Obviously, with a lot of other wrestlers and stuff on the bus at the time, to which Matt Riddle apparently said, well, what have I made you? And she kind of felt a bit, upset by that. And, I think she said in that moment she was terrified, and, obviously went ahead and that kind of happened anyway. So she's kind of accused him of that. Her kind of lawyer has said that is just one of many circumstances and assaults that have been committed by Riddle during that time of them having that kind of relationship together. But yeah, obviously he came out when these allegations first came out, and he denied them, said that wasn't the case. The whole thing on the bus never happened, and all that kind of stuff. He has come out and admitted that there was an affair there, and he's very ashamed by it and stuff. And he's spoken to his wife, and she's been amazing for standing by him, etc., etc. But yeah, she's now kind of gone on to the next stage of this and has kind of filed a suit now against him, and trying to just kind of take the next stages really in what's
this
happening.
it's going to be a really difficult one. And am I right in saying that she hasn't just filed a suit against Riddle? It's against Evolve and WWE as well. Like they're all named in the suit.
Yeah,
Evolve,
everybody's
obviously, Evolve is now owned by WWE in some capacity,
Mm.
but I believe that was like the indie that they were on at the time that these allegations were made. Am I correct in saying?
Yeah.
But the difficulty being like, and I'm not saying he's done this deliberately, and I honestly have no opinion on whether he is innocent or not, because it wouldn't be for me to say. But the difficulty being now he is admitted to a relationship, so he is now basically like any suggestion she's making, he's there going, well, we were having an affair, it was consensual, and it's going to be unfortunately a very very nasty and very difficult case, no matter who the innocent. And I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to say Matt's guilty just because she's gone to the point of going to the lawsuit.
I think,
but the whole thing's going to be a very very difficult case to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously it's kind of become common knowledge now that there was an affair in place and those guys were, in cahoots together during this time and stuff. But obviously she is still adamant that he kind of mistreated her and kind of forced her to do things that she didn't really want to do. And so that's kind of the kind of circumstances behind this. But you're absolutely right. Obviously, as part of that, Evolve and WWE have also been named in this suit. WWE have kind of come out as well and said that, they've not been served with a lawsuit as of yet by Mrs. Tavel, who's the real name of the plaintiff, Candy Cartwright. But if they are served, then they will vigorously defend themselves and they will contest it. So it definitely sounds like it's going to get messy. WWE are not going to roll over or anything, as we know. So yeah, I just I hope that whatever happens, the truth is found, regardless of.
Yeah, I mean, it's all we can hope with these sort of things.
Yeah.
So again, these sort of articles are always difficult to sort of move away from. So let's talk about some stupid shit, shall we? So we had, and I'm going to spoil Raw a little bit here, guys. Apologies, but let's be honest, you should have seen it by now. We had the shock reveal that Ali, because I don't know, do they call him Mustafa anymore? Or is it literally just Ali all the time now?
I think he is Mustafa again.
Okay, Mustafa Ali was revealed to be the true leader of Retribution, making it that little less bit shite. Now, interestingly, from this, Ali's going full throttle with it. Fair play to him. And he's putting some tweets up. He's sort of motivating the whole building the story around Retribution, which is fantastic. So he put a tweet up quite recently which said, they asked why, we asked why not, and then tagged in T-Bar, Mace, Reckoning, Slapjack, Slim Jim, Jim Bob, all of the members of Retribution, right? But he also included a nice little image of basically moments that have been sort of, what's the word? Motivators for them having their displeasure with WWE, as it were. But only 5 of them featured in the image and in the tags. And it would seem that despite her involvement before Ali got there, because there were 2 women as part of Retribution, and Mia Yim clearly is still one of those members being tagged in as what's she called? Reckoning. It seems Mercedes Martinez may no longer be a member and has kind of left quietly, essentially. There's not been any sort of thing of why she's not there, but and you never know, the next Raw might explain it a little bit or might have her back. But certainly in this tweet, and then there was another one he put up, I think, on Instagram where had like cartoon versions of them, which obviously that made the whole thing a lot more intimidating. But again, the cartoons only included himself, T-Bar, Slapjack, etc., and did not include Mercedes Martinez. So it would seem that Retribution has removed one of the female wrestlers and replaced them with Ali.
Well, by all accounts, from insiders, they reckon that she has actually been pushed back down to NXT.
Are these your sources?
My sources, yeah. Brown sauce, ketchup, and mayonnaise. Oh, and mustard also confirms this. All the sources.
Done deal. That's got to be a done deal, surely.
But yeah, so by all accounts, she is. She's been reassigned back to NXT, which, I mean, is interesting, shall we say, because what was the harm in having Mercedes Martinez as part of that faction?
It's one of these things, and hey, we're talking about women's wrestling this week. It seems like an odd move as well to like make the faction more male heavy. When what has she done to merit the downfall? It's like, well, she did everything you asked. She turned up. She wore a stupid mask. She, I don't know, played with the cameras, switched the lights on and off. Exactly everything that Retribution are meant to do. So yeah, like I don't know. I'm not even going to blame Vince. I don't know if Vince was involved, but it's just this sort of, yeah, fuck it. Let's go with this. Let's not go with this. This crazy up and down yo-yo type booking. That's leaves us all guessing what's going to happen next. As much as some things are really good, like we'll talk about it when we talk about Raw, but you know the best thing they could have done was include Ali. I'm fully on board with that, but they didn't have to lose Martinez for that.
No, interesting. I guess I'm interested to see, does she actually turn up on NXT, or what is next for her? And hopefully we get some kind of rationale behind why they have made that decision.
Well, I feel kind of bad for her because there's a lot of women rocking back up on NXT. Obviously with Toni Storm and Moon and like, and I don't think there's really a place for her there at the minute. I don't think they're going to make a point of shoehorning her in. I think they're going to make her sit there while these other things unfold. Because we've got Ember Moon going for the title. We've got Rhea Ripley basically dealing with Raquel Gonzalez. I just can't see where she's going to fit in.
No, definitely. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Indeed.
So the next one, Anthony, I've got is Samoa Joe done with in-ring competition? So he's recently been interviewed. Who was he interviewed by? I think it was the Wild On podcast. And they kind of were speaking about all sorts, but the question kind of came around, you know, what's going on with him at the minute in the ring and so on and so forth. And as we know, he's been kind of plagued with injuries throughout his WWE tenure. And that has kind of been the reason of late why he has not featured that much in the ring. But he's recently taken up that role on commentary on Raw. So they've asked the question, and he's basically said that right now he's been enjoying that commentary role. It's been a really fun challenge. It's something very new, and he's really enjoying it. He says he's obviously not done in the ring by any means, but right now he's just kind of exploring things, seeing how he feels about it. But apparently he's been doing a lot of voice acting lately, so I believe he's going to be voicing a character in the upcoming Suicide Squad video game called King Shark. So he's been trying to broaden his horizon, shall we say. So maybe the commentary role that he's got at the minute is helping him do those kind of extracurricular activities. But
trying different voices out while he's on commentary.
Well, maybe. Can't be worse than the commentary we have today. But yeah, so I don't know. Interesting that he said that he's definitely not done in the ring. So, you know, hopefully he is just there, you know, while he is healing up and so on and so forth. But I don't think anything's that, come out and being kind of concrete in why he's actually out at the minute. You know, he was injured and then he just showed up on commentary one day. So I don't know whether those injuries still exist and that is why, or whether or not he is healed, but he's just taking a bit of a break from the ring. But, you know, by all accounts,
for me, has kind of echoes of Taz. I think he might just end up there forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great comparison, really. Like Taz, from what I understand, was not retired from in-ring competition. He just took a break and then just never ended up getting back in.
That's the thing. He got it well into the commentary. I mean, he did take a couple of bumps here and there during his time on commentary with WWE, but never actually made it back to the ring in any great capacity. And I can honestly see the same for Joe. He might do the odd match here and there or the odd spot with a wrestler, but I honestly could see him taking too much of a liking to commentary, and that'll be him, which is a shame because he's a great in-ring technician.
Definitely, yeah. It's a shame we didn't get to see more of him in WWE because, we know what he's done for TNA and Ring of Honor and stuff in the past.
I think that's the thing. He's had such a career without WWE. That's the funny thing when people class people as WWE stars. Like if Samoa Joe left today and went over to AEW, you know that the headlines would be, "Oh, former WWE stars." Like he's not really a WWE star. He made himself outside of WWE. He happens to have worked for WWE, yes, but the bigger and better part of his career wasn't in his years there, or so far anyway.
True.
Yeah, interesting.
I wonder if we will ever see him in the ring again. Apparently Heath believes we will, but let's see.
Here's hoping. Speaking of in the ring again, not a very good segue, but fuck it, we'll do it. Right. So, Carl, do you know the name Aaron Stevens?
I do. Errol the Idol Stevens from way back when, OVW, also known as
also known as Damien Sandow,
Yes.
or Mizdow, or Macho Mizdow. I don't know. I got so confused. Anyway, Damien Sandow, or Aaron Stevens, as he is now known, is a former NWA national champion. He has been heavily involved in NWA Power, and has been recently interviewed on the Wrestling Inc. on their daily podcast. Check it out if you want to listen to something, a little less fun. Just kidding. It was a joke. Jesus. Anyway, so on this podcast, they were discussing the sort of relationship that NWA currently have with AEW. Obviously, you may have heard of Thunder Rosa, and the fact that she is the NWA Women's Champion and has had a debut on AEW, and obviously some absolutely stellar matches on AEW. And this obviously led to the question of are we likely to see Aaron Stevens making an appearance in AEW? He was champion at the time of the interview, so the question was, to defend that title, and the response was an interesting one, and it doesn't, sadly, like everything I'm bringing to the table today, Carl, it doesn't offer a lot of information, but his response was simply that he doesn't think so, that no one from AEW has contacted him, and he can't foresee anyone contacting him. And then he said, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but I have my own theory on that. It is what it is. And it just leads to the speculation of what is he potentially referring to. I mean, as far as I'm aware, I can't think of any sort of bad blood he's had in the past, or any particular people involved in AEW that maybe he didn't get along with, but he seems to have a theory that he's not disclosing to us about why AEW wouldn't be interested, which is interesting because obviously they have a pretty good working relationship with NWA, especially at the moment with the way the current COVID situation is. It's a good relationship to have, and it seems not a far stretch to assume he could appear on there, but he seems to think that wouldn't be happening. What do you make of this, Carl? Is there anything you can think from the wrestling historian as to why maybe there could be some bad blood there potentially?
I don't want to kind of start rumours or anything, but
start a rumour, Carl. Let's do it.
The only thing I could think of is, Cody Rhodes was there at the same time as Mizdow, or Errol the Idol Stevens, as he was back then. So
were they in OVW together? Out of curiosity.
They were. So whether or not there is something stemming from that, but by all accounts, everyone who has worked with him has had pretty positive reviews that I've ever heard. But I have no idea what Cody's stance is on him. I don't know anyone else I don't think Moxley's worked with him that much. Maybe he's worked with him a little bit towards the end of his tenure, but I don't think anybody with severe pulling power would be super negative against him. Jericho, maybe he's been in the scene as well, but
I think Jericho would see the ability in him, because let's face it, that Mizdow thing should never have worked, and he got it over. He's clearly got some talent. He's capable. He's definitely capable in the ring, and he can. If it's that whole, I think, what's the phrase you like to coin about chicken shit? Turn it into chicken salad or something along that line.
Yeah.
And he's proven that he can do that with some awful gimmicks that WWE have given him. So, like from a purely talent point of view, you think Jericho will be able to see something in him. So you got to wonder if there's something personality-wise, not necessarily with Jericho, but something personality-wise clash there, and maybe, I don't know. But again, doesn't give us a lot to work with, but a lot of fun to speculate. I mean, maybe hit one of them with a car. Who knows? Let's start a rumor.
You heard it here first. Yeah. So back to me to bring it down again, in terms of the tone.
Break it down, Carl.
So
like D-Generation X. Break it down.
Yeah. So Alberto Del Rio, he's been discussed a few times in the past on this show.
Yes, he has.
So he's now actually been indicted on a kidnapping and assault charge.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was basically indicted on Friday for kidnapping and assault of somebody. And yeah, it's kind of I think I've got the quote here. He threatened to take a woman's son, drop him in the middle of the road somewhere, and yeah, he assaulted her on multiple occasions and kidnapped her. So this isn't new news, I guess, in terms of this incident, but it's now kind of got to a point where he's now been indicted on those charges, and he actually now faces up to 20 years in prison if he is convicted. So what a crazy fall from grace. A former WWE champion who was at one time seen as the next kind of massive star in WWE for the Mexican market. He's had the incidents with Paige in the past and stuff going on there. He's had a lot of different incidents in his life, but this one now, 20 years potentially.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy to think. It looks like WWE had it right, making him be the villain.
Yeah.
Too soon. Now it's again, it's one of them. We can't even really touch this one, can we? Like, there must be a lot of evidence there, I suppose, for them to get to the point they have. This isn't just an allegation at this point now, like we reported on in the past. And we just got to wait and see what happens with it. But it's a crazy, crazy thought to think that a former WWE champion or world champion, depending on what belt he had at the time, could be serving such a long sentence in prison. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I think I just said then, it's what a fall from grace to be top of the game in the biggest wrestling company in the world, to potentially being behind bars for 20 years. It's by all accounts, from different accounts of him in the past and accusations, so on and so forth, he's been a very troubled character. Obviously he's been very frequently in the news with his relationship with Paige and some of the other kind of arrests and incidents and stuff he's had in the past. So this one just seems to be getting worse and worse. So potentially 20 years for this if he's found guilty. So definitely crazy times.
Certainly is. My next one, Carl, is it? Yeah, again, it might be a bit speculative, but aren't they all from me? Have you heard of James Storm, Carl?
Oh, of course I have.
Of course you have. This man has been rocking around since the 90s, I believe. He was in WCW. He's been predominantly in TNA throughout the 2000s. He was even involved in NXT for a short period of time. But right before the COVID outbreak, let's say, he was in negotiations to join WWE again, and was actually speculated it was going to be after WrestleMania. Now, we've had basically, it seems fairly foregone conclusion at this point that they've gone, no, we're not interested now, and the contract negotiations fallen down. Now, Storm has actually been quoted as saying that he signed the contracts and all that stuff, and he was just waiting to take the physical. They called him, told him it was going to be put off with everything that was going on, and essentially that was all she wrote, really. He said once he seen they were making all these cuts with all these different guys and stuff like that, he knew it was just a matter of time before they'd retract the contract offer, and it would seem that's exactly what's happened. So it's a real shame, but it's one of that. He sort of fully explained it in his quotes that they were making a lot of cuts, and sadly he didn't make the cuts. But given how much of obviously he was in negotiations with them, he was a big star in TNA. I think that's probably his biggest body of work. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he might have done some stuff with Lucha Underground as well. But I'd say his most notable work was TNA. Do you think they've missed out on something here with failing to sort of go forward with this contract? They could have soured a potential future with him, in all fairness. But
part of me thinks with the whole Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode thing, with Bobby Roode kind of getting drafted, nothing happening with him. I thought at the time it was the whole kind of James Storm rumors and stuff. I thought we're going to bring back them as a tag team as part of Beer Money.
Right, yeah, that would make a bit of sense, wouldn't it?
So that was like, oh, that's where they're going to go. And then suddenly, they didn't offer him the contract, and then Bobby Roode just disappeared. So I believe that was where they were potentially going to go with it. And
but you see, it's things like that you go, that would have been a good idea. That would have got at least a nostalgic pop for a bit, But yeah, lo and behold. But you know what? We've still got Lars Sullivan.
Yeah, we'll come on to him in a bit. Fucking hell, he's been. But yeah, so the next one I've got is another potential signing for WWE. So we'd speculated a few times in the past about this. Tessa Blanchard, so she's currently left TNA, and she's currently without company. We speculated for a while now that, is she going to end up in WWE? Will AEW potentially sign her? So on and so forth. And it seemed at one point all of the kind of, cards were aligning towards her joining a WWE. But the latest bit of inside scoop, if you will, is that Vince knows who Tessa Blanchard is, but he doesn't know that much about it. He doesn't really know. He knows Tully's got a kid. That's basically the extent of it. But he knows who she is.
This is the bit that really puzzles me. It's like Tully's kid. Like, why is AEW not the one that's in the room?
Well, I mean, exactly. I think I said that last time we spoke about it, but apparently, by all accounts, everything was pointing towards WWE for it. But apparently, Vince knows of her, but doesn't know that much about her. So at the minute,
Triple H is desperately going, look, just watch the video, Vince.
Well, exactly. So at the minute, she's not on Vince's radar at all. But by all accounts, Tessa and Triple H have had several different communications, so very much on Triple H's radar. But who knows? Is Triple H going to be able to convince Vince?
Am I right in saying, like, Vince? I feel like I read as part of this, the stubborn old goat that he is, refuses to watch anything that's not produced by him. So, like, despite Tessa being like the world champion of TNA, like, he's just not looked at the other product, so doesn't know.
I mean, I can't confirm that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
That's what I think. I read it somewhere that he was just like, nah, like, it's not produced by WWE. Don't give a shit, which is a good way of finding new talent. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, speaking of women's wrestlers, Carl, that's right. I made a good segue.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
We have the speculation of, is WWE punishing Lana? Now, this has come from initially, and I think we've probably all noticed it at one point, that she seems to be going through a lot of tables lately at the hands of one Nia Jax.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Just every episode.
Like, she's almost very literally getting buried in this tag team with Natty. And they recently done an interview where she sort of broke down in tears, and it got kind of emotional, and you wonder whether there's a bit of truth to it. I mean, all due respect, Lana, I've never seen you act that well, so I'm starting to think it might be a bit real. Sorry, but when you went off on MVP was just the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen. Anyway, so in this interview, through tearful eyes, she said, like, that she's refusing to give up, basically, and still played that whole them as a tag team thing, but it's led to a lot of people firstly speculating, are WWE truly punishing her for Miro? Obviously formerly Rusev, her husband, going over to AEW. And it's also led to the speculative rumours of, could Lana be looking for the door as well at one point? I believe she's sought to, like, dismiss those rumours that she's not giving up and all that. That's her saying, I'm sticking with WWE, essentially. But I don't know. I mean, if you're going to get a dog's life, is it not, I don't know, come contract time, are you really going to be that enamoured with the company and not maybe look for that option? What do you make of all this, Carl? Do you think she would have a home in AEW should she choose to leave, even?
I mean, they've got Miro, haven't they? So she definitely, you'll definitely have some pulling power for her. But by all accounts, from what we've seen every week now, she's definitely being punished. Like, there's no two bones about it. There's no, like, coincidence or anything like that. It's like, all right, your husband's left, even though we fired him, or released him anyway. So yeah, what we're gonna do every week is we're gonna get fucking Nia Jax to throw you through a table. It's like, okay, purely coinkydink, or like, so yeah, I'm pretty sure she's in the bad books because of Miro. So I think
it certainly seems that way.
I
think we even mentioned it previously.
Yeah, to your point, I think if they she holds the cards, really, because I don't know how long she signed on for, but if she decides, well, next contract renewal, well, fuck you guys, I'm going to go, then, she has built up a following. She's got acting jobs, she's got a fan base there, she's got TikTok following and stuff like that now, so she will get eyes on her. So, they might be taking the frustrations out on her, but if they lose her, then it could be bad.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point.
I think as well, back to the Bobby Lashley stuff. She was the most viewed segment on Raw a few months ago, so she definitely can pull in people.
To end up here and end up where you're getting like, well, Nia Jax's going to put you through a table against that girl is an unusual step for them to take.
Just a bit.
So, Carl, please the next one.
The next one is mine, and it is a little bit of a spat between Le Champion, Chris Jericho, and Jim Cornette. So, a little bit of a Twitter war, if you will. But Jericho basically heard that Jim Cornette is still burying him for his work in AEW.
I think it's fair to say Jim Cornette's reviews of AEW's products are fairly biased against AEW. They're not as bad as he would like to believe they are. But it is still opinion stuff, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. I really like Jim Cornette. I think he's a legend. He's been in the business. I think, it gets talked about quite a bit. He's probably forgot more about wrestling than most people know. He's been in the business his whole fucking life. So, definitely respect the guy. Definitely think he's awesome. At the same time, is he in touch with today's product? I'm not so sure. And by all accounts, his kind of reviews of AEW and particularly Jericho's work have not been that favorable. So Jericho's kind of aware of that. He said, it's all good though, because my stuff has been amazing, a huge moneymaker for the company, but best part is if you just shut the fuck up and pull his head out of his ass, you'd probably get an offer from AEW for a consultant job. So that kind of reached Cornette. After a bit, I believe Jericho deleted the tweet, but somebody screen grabbed it.
Naturally.
Jim. And, Jim Cornette, in Cornette fashion, replied saying, since he deleted his tweet, you got to read it here. Chris, I tell you the same thing I told Tony a year and a half ago. I'm the only one who'll tell you the truth because I don't want a job. After I've actually seen your show, there hasn't been enough money printed to hire me. So, very scathing Jim Cornette review, which you would expect from the guy because that's what he does.
This finally... is the thing with Jim where there's clearly a bias though, because even if you don't like some of the stuff AEW are doing, it's not that bad a product, and if you could be hired to actually make an impact and improve this company in its infancy, why wouldn't you get involved? What he's saying is he wants WWE to stay the monopolizing behemoths that they are.
To be fair, he's pretty scathing of WWE as well. I think it's mad. It's mad to think he came up with JR pretty much, and those two have worked together side by side for years and years and years, and yet the way they construct their business and the way they handle situations is so fucking polar opposite. Like JR's like, well, do you know what, AEW, I believe in this, I'm going to get behind it. I may be slightly out of touch myself with the product, but I'm going to do my best and get behind the likes of Orange Cassidy and people like that who I don't necessarily understand. I'm going to do everything I can to put them over. And you've got Jim Cornette who's like, what the fuck is this? Fucking Orange Cassidy with his hands in his pocket. What the fuck? So it's so
what I find interesting, it's only a slight connection, if I'm right. Wasn't Jim Cornette on commentary for NWA?
He was, yeah, until a certain incident where he was accused of some sort of racism or slander or sexuality thing or something. I can't remember what it was. But it was not good.
Yeah, you just wonder whether, soured relationship and now they've got a relationship with AEW, but speculative, albeit.
A little bit. But then Jericho obviously replied to that as well, saying that he wishes nothing but the best for Jim. But right now he's too busy creating magic, entertaining the world to worry about what a grumpy old man thinks. He's entitled to his opinion and he's entitled to his, and that is the AEW rules. So Jericho's had the last word and I agree with him. AEW does rule. Yes.
AEW does rule. We try and be as honest as we can. We do love AEW, but we'll try and be fair when it comes to listing things that didn't work, or we clearly acknowledge the botch with Matt Hardy because we're not going to ignore something just because we love the product. But you can't deny it's awesome. It's had one of the biggest impacts in wrestling in the last decade, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. To think as well that they're only a year old. They're literally coming up to their anniversary show this week. So
yeah, and funnily enough, all the titles are on the line in this anniversary.
It's almost like a clash.
A clash of champions of sorts. Yeah,
yeah, AEW.
Some sort of artists. Rush for the gold, if you will.
See, we do give them shit, guys. We do give them shit. It's a very WWE stance, isn't it, to take of right after Clash Champions. Well, we'll do the same on our anniversary show.
Yeah, WWE have done it enough to them. I'll let them have a few of those.
Yeah.
Okay, why not? So my one, Carl, is, as a lot of people will know, and I'm spoiling it for the SmackDown talk when we talk about this week in wrestling, but we saw the surprise return of a huge WWE star, apparently, in Lars Sullivan. Now, this has obviously led to social media going wild, as it were. And one of the things that was put up by, I believe it was a Sasha Banks fan account, but decided to poke a little bit of fun at some of the controversy Lars had previously. And they put up a picture of, nothing too risque, but a picture of Lars in the homoerotic films that he had been involved in the past, and put the line above it saying, "My favourite Lars Sullivan match is." So obviously just poking fun at this controversy. And what surprisingly happened, and was surprisingly removed very quickly, not quick enough, Trips, I'm afraid, but Triple H liked the tweet. So he obviously found it funny, like a lot of us might. But he very quickly removed that like, not before people could screenshot that. So
part of me's thinking, did he find it funny and like it, or is the guy who, from DX was like the renegade, is he now become so out of touch he just didn't fucking get it? And he was like, oh, people are going to talk about good Lars Sullivan matches. I'm going to like this tweet because I like Lars.
Looking at the picture, like, I really don't remember this match, but
like
really going at it.
like do you think, you know what I mean? Do you think you liked it because, it was like, or do you think he just was so...
It could be an accidental thing, like he's read the line and thought this is a positive thing, and then realised, to go like it and go, hang on, no, and unliked it. But he's been caught very quickly. Now people they're so on these things, aren't they? Look at the Jericho thing. Thought better of it, deleted the tweet. Someone fucking got it, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Who even thinks to screenshot them? Like, you don't expect them to be removed, or you don't expect a like to be removed or a tweet to be deleted. So why you screenshot them? I don't know.
There's always someone.
There's always someone. But that's not all with Lars Sullivan, is it, Carl?
Unfortunately, no. So, this fucking guy, right?
Yeah, the controversy magnet, if you want to give a proper nickname.
Yeah, fuck the freak. He's a fucking controversy magnet. That's what his name is. So he's just been brought back. Spoilers on SmackDown. After everything that's gone on with him in the past, all the things from the fucking, the stage fright to the fucking accusations, the things he's done in the past, to the comments, the Nazi stuff, the porn stuff, everything he's done in the past.
Yeah,
that's all gone, died down a bit. He's come back into the limelight. The first thing he does is he gets himself into another scandal. So this time, more screenshots. So basically, he has replied to an online yoga teacher who, by all accounts, he's been communicating with for between a year and 2 years now.
He'd actually, I don't know if it was part of the article you read, Carl, but he actually left some really positive reviews initially when he started with her. So it started out friendly, and he was using the yoga classes and recommending them, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously he was using it. He said, this guy, he's been in all different kinds of sports all his life, all different kind of things. He's never felt better or healthier than when he's followed her yoga program. So it started out pretty, innocent. It's then kind of grown and grown and grown to the point where he's been almost harassing her. And there were some screenshots of him replying to a story recently where she posted a picture of herself. And he put, incredibly beautiful. I absolutely love your legs. Have you got any booty pics in those, hun? Yeah, little hand over the mouth, devil emoji. To which she's replied saying, do you know what, Lars, I'm going to refund you the money, because he's now been sending her money as well to support her. And, he's been sending her money, and she's now going to refund him because I told you before, I block people who send me messages like this. You've had a warning now. Please don't do this. I don't have time to work with clients who don't respect boundaries. I'm a happily married woman. It's also not very smart on your part, given you are quite well known. So yes, she's
quite well known.
Quite well known, and quite well known for doing this kind of stupid shit as well. So, how many chances are too many chances, shall we say?
Yeah. So why, Lars? Like,
so
even if you are this type of cretin, right? Why are you jeopardizing your paycheck, you moron?
Well, exactly. So, on SmackDown this week, it was announced that he's back and he's going to be part of Monday's draft. Do you think we will see him get drafted?
I'm better than ever.
I don't. So remains
no,
to be
it'd be
seen.
interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how WWE react. We've heard since nothing much, but we've heard that WWE are aware of what's going on, but no response officially from Lars or WWE about the screenshots. But as far as we've heard, is WWE are aware of the incident and I think are looking into it. But
by all accounts, Triple H probably pulled him into his office and was like, I totally like what you said to that bitch. Look at her ass. So you never know.
And then he removed the like, obviously,
yeah,
because that's what Triple H does.
I was joking, obviously, but yeah. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Lars. He was meant to be in tonight's draft, which obviously will have happened by the time we post this. But yeah, interesting to see is he going to get drafted? Will he just be stricken from the record books once again? Who knows?
Be interesting to see whether they do a quiet little he's not around. We're not going to mention him at all. But at the end of the day, this is what I really don't understand with WWE. No offense, Lars. Not that big a deal, are you? You were okay on NXT. You didn't really do anything on the main roster. I'm not trying to make light of anxiety or whatever, but you sort of you had that stage fright issue, so you didn't get to do essentially what would have been your big pop into the main roster. And I don't know. I just can't get why WWE is so sort of adamant to sort of keep trying to push this guy. And we'll talk about it more on SmackDown, but they try and make out like he's a huge deal as well. We haven't even got to know him yet. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him. He could be a huge deal, but when they're telling me he already is, I'm like, why?
Well, to be fair,
I don't know who he is.
He debuted in NXT around about the time I was sort of coming to the end of watching NXT, where it started to go a bit stale. And when he debuted, I was a bit like, nah. He looked big in NXT because a lot of the NXT talent are, quite short.
All due respect to them, you've got Adam Cole and Tommaso and people like that who are huge guys.
Exactly. So so he looked like a monster, but then he showed up on SmackDown this week and he didn't look menacing at all. Really, he's got a big fat head, but the rest of him standard.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. He's a discount Braun Strowman. He's got he even comes out and does the same thing. No words, just rah! And you're like, okay, we get it. You're like a monster, right?
I feel like there's a meme there, like when you order Braun Strowman on Wish. It's that kind of thing.
That's exactly what he is. But it's like that. It's like they've just gone through the dictionary as well and gone, right, well, we've used monster. Have we used monster? Okay. Freak? Should we got freak? Anyone like that? Yeah. That's it. It's so, everything about him is just so kind of generic and boring. I know people because it's popular to not like the big guys now, isn't it? And to like the smaller technical guys. And that's not what I'm doing. I just don't get why they're telling me he's such a big deal when he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Don't try and tell me he did on NXT because they were all a bit lackluster as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. So interesting. Has he finally fucked it for himself, or will he forget about it and just move on? Who knows?
Triple H will storm over to him, take his phone, and go, right, it's confiscated now. And then that'll be that. Be fine.
And then just go around and Lars Sullivan is liking really random tweets.
Love it. Nicely done. So, that was the Ringside Report.
Hey, everybody. This is Thunder Rosa, and you're watching or listening A to the K.